Hello, Raghu. Thanks for joining us this today. How are you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me, also, Zua.
Awesome, great. Hope you've had a nice summer in Southern California so far.
It's always summer here, so I hate to boast
It's
about
always summer.
the weather. It's beautiful here, so
I'm jealous. Yeah, up here in Canada, it's different. We're prepping for the winter, right? Hey, Raghu, I thought maybe you could just do a quick intro for our listeners. We know you as CEO and founder of Synergetics. Perhaps tell us a little bit more about yourself. Any fun facts to share as well is also
sure.
welcome.
So I'm originally from Singapore, and Singapore has got something called draft military, like some countries, like Israel and a few other countries have got military. And so one fun fact is I used to be a drug enforcement officer in the military when I was in the military. So very few people know that fact about me. The second fact is um, I'm a crazy soccer fan, so all my Twitter posts, like 90% is about soccer. All my LinkedIn posts about tech. So you'll see a very tech side of me on LinkedIn. But when it comes to Twitter, it's all about my football team in UK,
Amazing.
and that's all I do. And not a regular fan. I'm a crazy fan because I write to the owners of the club, and they write back to me because I've got that close of a bond with the team I follow, and so it's I used to play. I played for 20 years, all through college, varsity, and then also through the military and so on. So I used to play, and all my friends still hang out on WhatsApp, and all we talk about is football. So we call it football
Amazing.
in the US. They call it soccer, but we call it
Soccer.
football. So
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. Wow. So do you have any favorite like clubs that you
yeah,
do you, are you
my
more of an
club,
English Premiership? Yeah.
is not doing so good, but this year, maybe we'll get promoted back to the Premier League, where I support Queens Park Rangers. But I've supported them for 40 years through all the ups and all the downs. But that's what a good fan does. So I follow them very closely. Almost watch every match online, and I went to UK a couple of years ago to watch a match as well.
Yeah, yeah. I'm more on the Red Devils. They're not doing so well either. Yeah,
Ever
yeah.
since Fergie left, I think 10 years, they've been struggling.
Yeah, yeah, it's changed completely. Cool, Raghu. So maybe just out of curiosity, we're just talking about this. You've been in this space for so long, and from academia to actually in the tech industry. What has been your entrepreneurial journey to Synergetics? Synergetics, yeah.
So, it's very funny. I mean, a lot of these journeys start very young. I think, when I was growing up in Singapore, I bought my first computer, saved up, and I bought an Apple II. And I've been coding since I was 12. One day, my friend dragged me out during the summer holidays to go learn programming, and I didn't know that would become a lifelong thing. You do various experiences in life. You never remember that, oh wow, this is going to be my whole life later on, but that's what it turned out to be. And so in the entrepreneurship space, I mean, when I used to code and I built these apps, even when I was a kid, and I always thought like I should follow the footsteps of Steve Jobs and Bill Gates, and I used to read about them in the magazines back then, even though it was the late 70s, early 80s, things like that. They used to be my icons. I used to be like following every move of all these people. And then when I went to high school, I did computer science. And then when I came to the US to study this computer science, and I'd been a sort of a historian of how the industry has progressed. And all along, it's been a dream to start something and so on. So I've had the opportunity to participate in 4 startups, 2 as a co-founder and 2 as a founder, and now my 5th one. And through this 4 startups, had exits, 3 to public companies, 1 to a private company 3 years ago, and now my 5th one. And each one is different. Each startup is different times of in the technology landscape, different times in my own personal life. So each time it's like being reborn. You do things again and you reinvent yourself. And so So I know friends, I mean, dear friends of mine, but then they sort of learn some things and they have been there at the same spot for 20 years, because they don't
Mhm.
want to invest in learning new things. But the technology industry is not like that. It moves very quickly. In fact, it's moving very fast. When I was
Very
growing up,
fast.
there's this thing called Moore's law, and Moore's law was the chips used to have double the capacity every. They used to be able to produce more processing power every 18 months. Used to double. That's the Moore's law. But then recently, I was joking to someone. Now it's not 18 months; it's like 18 weeks. Things coming out so much faster, and probably 18 weeks, just 4 months. I am quite sure I'm not very far off, because
Mhm.
every time you turn the page of some new website, you'll see like, oh, things are better, faster, cheaper, this, that, and it moves rapidly, and so more the need for technologists to reinvent themselves. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's something that I have had to do myself. Even this weekend, I was learning something new, because it's needed. Otherwise, you get left behind. That's
Get left
almost,
behind.
yeah.
Yeah, very true. Yeah. So Raga, you talked about four previous prior ventures, exits, great track record. You've got a lot going under your belt there. That's amazing. So tell us a little bit about your latest. So Synergetics. What is it? What do you do? Yeah.
So Synergetics, actually, I have been the head learning facilitator for the AI courses at MIT for the last 8 years. And after I sold my last startup in 2022, which was to a company that creates Web3 wallets, so it's like a crypto wallet and things like that. So right after that, for about I was working there for a bit, but I always had the itch to go back and start something new. I was thinking about what to do, and I joined an accelerator. And that accelerator, the folks there, even though I'm a very experienced founder, I found it interesting to join an accelerator in the Bay Area. I went there for a few sessions, and I always go in with the mentality that you can learn new things. There's like anyone who says that, I know everything, I think that's the day you stop learning. So went to accelerator, open mind. I met a lot of people, some of whom I'm still in touch with, and the folks who ran that accelerator came to me and said it was an accelerator around Metaverse. So just after when Meta had switched to their name, and Facebook had switched their name to Meta and all that. So I was kind of like screwing around the Metaverse concept and build some things in some of the gaming engines and so on. And then some of the folks at the accelerator took me aside and said, since you have been teaching AI, can you sort of pivot your technology from metaverse to something in AI, because that's where the market is headed. So I said, you know what, I might actually do that. I took the advice and I did not, continue. But a lot of the elements that I built, oddly enough, became very relevant in my new endeavor called Synergetic. So what happened is we had built these avatars, and they used to walk in 3D space and metaverse and all of those types of things. But those same avatar technology became relevant in the AI space, because now they became avatars who could do customer service, who could talk, who could do sales, who could do a lot of things. So a lot of the technologies that we built didn't go to waste. We just repackaged them, put a brain into them using LLM, and they were now talking to customers, dealing with. Right now, we have a client of ours based in Miami called My Support, and what My Support does is provides addiction counseling to drug, alcohol, gambling, addiction folks. And what happens is these avatars talk to them. And so whatever I built the metaverse just repackaged and pivoted, and now they became AI agents. So our AI agents can be in the form of avatars, chatbots, voice agents, and back office agents. But this was just one example where the pivot actually worked nicely, it fit nicely into the new model. And that's what we started to do. So
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And so your typical users are other businesses that wanna leverage on this agent or agentic AI solutions in different parts of their businesses. You talked about customer support. What else?
So, for example, there is another customer of ours who does what we call matching. And when I say matching, that means in the gig economy, if you look at, for example, Uber, Uber matches people who want cabs with cab drivers, or people driving cars that acts as taxis. If you look at DoorDash, people want food matching with restaurants. On Internet Flowers, people who want flowers matching with flower shops, like that. It's a gig economy matching problem. So our client actually has a similar problem where they serve a big chain stores, like food stores like Pizza Hut or Walmart or people like that, with chains all over the place. And then when they have technical problems like the CCTV camera is broken, Wi-Fi not working, printers stuck, whatnot, they call my client and they do matching of technicians. They have got 30,000 technicians throughout the country who go there and fix the problem and whatnot. So it's also a similar matching problem. And so a lot of that matching, rating, ranking of these technicians and so on, the scheduling, the notifications, all that is done manually today. So we are um, agentifying the entire enterprise. And this is a common theme that we are finding throughout enterprises in America and elsewhere, where companies are shifting from a human centric workforce to a human plus AI centric workforce, which is a hybrid workforce. So that shift is happening, and we are one of the companies that enables the shift to occur by providing technologies that make it easy for companies to make that transition.
Cool. Yeah. And thanks for touching on that. I was curious about what trends you're seeing. That makes a lot of sense. Maybe just double clicking a little bit onto Synergetics offering here. So your solution, you've touched a lot on the AI side of things. Where does decentralized finance come in what you offer?
Yeah. So the company itself has got a two-phase rollout plan. So the first phase is where enterprises, our customers, are using agents and our technologies to make this transition from in their workforce to a hybrid workforce. That's phase one. In phase two, which we have already built, but the market is somewhat a little bit behind. So we are rolling it out slowly as the market acceptance grows, is the ability for both consumers and enterprises to have agents that can go beyond the confines of an enterprise, can go into the open internet and start to transact. So the example that I have is, for example, like your name, let's say Zua, I call you Zua, Zua.twin would be something that you could create. If you download our app, the Synergy
Yeah.
Wallet app from iOS or Android store, you can create your own twin. And your twin will look like you, will speak like
Amazing.
you. If you can only speak a couple of languages, that's okay. Your twin can speak 100 languages. Your twin will be,
My,
unfortunately, a little bit smarter than you. Or me,
that's
for that matter.
impressive.
And also, there's a new feature where the twin can even walk like you and so on. But anyway, so once you have your twin, you can give your twin different skills. So you can go to our marketplace and acquire a skill such as, hey, you know what, do travel booking, or do, teach me physics, or, go do restaurant reservations or whatnot. And these skills would be developed by other participants in the marketplace, such as creators and so on. So there are people who are AI type of people who create these skills, and you as a consumer can acquire those skills, add it to your agent. Your agent now has got new capabilities that you can then assign to your twin. So this marketplace becomes like a agent commerce marketplace. It's an entire ecosystem of commerce that people who create skills need skills. Enterprises can buy data sets, or they can hire entire complete agents for their own enterprise to rent them for to do work. Consumers can come in and even you can dress up your twin with Armani suits if you want to. Yeah, yeah, digital clothing, whatnot. And so what
Yeah.
happens is now those agents, once they're empowered with these skills, they can go out and transact with websites. They can transact with other agents and so on. Both enterprises can let their agents loose in the internet to go and do things, and your consumers can do the same thing. So now,
Mhm.
if your agents are roaming the internet, they need to talk to websites. They need to talk to other agents. So you need protocols. So we had received a patent, a full patent from the US patent office for agent talk, which is a protocol that enables agent to agent communication. And then there are also protocols that have come about where agents can talk to websites and other things. And so we have enabled all of these in our platform and in the wallet that you have. And you and your agent share a wallet. So you
I
can
see.
give your agent like a couple $100 and tell your agent, okay, go shop for me for these things.
Run
And
an errand. Yeah.
your agent will go shop and you can go and do something else. And then those items will end up at your doorstep. You don't need to go waste your time perusing through many items and things like that. Your agent would have done it for you. So that's the world we're going to go into very, very quickly. We're talking, I would say, a year ago, if you have asked me, I would have said 2, 3 years later. But now it's accelerated to a point where it's going to be in 6 months. And we have been in
Yeah.
touch with all the big players in the space, crypto players, as well as some of the big names in the space. We've got protocols for all of this. So this is
That's
going to be
amazing.
very, very quick.
That's amazing. I'll definitely use it. Like, yeah, I get a clone of myself that I can actually another agents that I can almost do anything on the internet. That's impressive. Doing some really, really great stuff there. So Raghu, just switching gears a little bit. So as a founder, as a CEO founder in this space, what does your typical day to day look like? Where are you spending the most of your time?
So, it's a mixture. My team, a lot of the engineering talent, some of them are on in stateside, but some of them are in India. So what I do is I kind of break my day up into three portions: morning, afternoon, and evening. So the morning portion basically involves dealing with customers, investors, and so on the US side. Afternoon, a little bit of that, but also set aside some time to rest. And because I have to do an evening sort of shift as well, because I have to deal with the engineers and product managers and so on overseas. But the world of tech, actually, for those who already know it, um, will attest to the fact that um, it's almost a 24/7 world, because there are companies, there are investors, there are partners in all sides of the world, whether it be Australia or Dubai or UK or the US. It's a 24/7 thing. So we try to get some sleep, but it's for those who are passionate. It's like the casino is open 24 hours. It's
Yeah,
like
it's not a 9 to 5. It's
it's not a 9 to 5 at all.
yeah.
Operate that way. So you got to operate
Mhm.
where you got to get your workouts in, you got to get your sleep in, but at the same time, if you want to get plugged in, it's always open and there's something exciting going on all the time. And so I try to get as much of it as possible, and then still weekends tend to be a little bit for my soccer following and things like that, but also to read up on new things and so on. But that's how typically how a day goes by.
Awesome. Cool, cool. Yeah. So are you very involved in a lot of the product delivery? Is that is that kind of
Yeah, I mean,
a huge chunk?
I have a good team, and I set the sort of strategy and agenda.
Strategy. Mhm.
And also in any tech startup, and a lot of the entrepreneurs out there listening might feel the same way. There are both strategies and there are tactics. So strategies are more longer term things that you like to see sort of roll out, and tactics are what you have to do today, tomorrow, this week, in order to keep the lights on or deliver customer needs or whatnot. So you sort of have to operate in both time frames. So it's always keep an eye on the long term, but you have to execute on the day to day as well. So day to day, we have scrums. So in the scrum, for those who know in the tech field, a scrum is simply a quick stand up meeting for about 30 to 45 minutes, where everyone in the room sort of like gives an update so that we know what's the game plan. And these game plans sort of shift a little bit from day to day, because there might be some priorities that change. Like, for example, in a startup, funding is very important. So we have some investor presentations. So there might be some things, some assets that we need, or some demos or whatever we have to prepare for. Or customers, POCs come up. So we got to you got to shift gears or whatnot. So we'll have to be a little bit footloose. Yeah, very agile. You got to move very quickly. You cannot just be very slow. And like
Hmm.
one customer, one of the largest cell phone carriers in South America, came to us last week through a partner, and they said, "Yeah, we are interested in talking to you, but can you execute these 5 things and show us what you are capable of doing?" So what we did was, fortunately, we have like a very very good platform, and we were able to turn it around in 5 days.
Wow.
And what would have normally taken a company a month to do took 5 days. And they were so impressed, and they're working on a contract with us for the long term. But that's an example where you have to quickly be nimble, and that's the one of the benefits of being a startup, where you can be very nimble, not lose focus on the big picture, but be able to convert an opportunity into a win, and that you have to be able to do. If you can't do that, then you lose your how nimble you are, and then opportunities go by the wayside. So that's something that you have to kind of like sort of balance, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and also I think having a strong engineering culture, to be able to pull something like that off. Obviously, I'm sure the clients would have been impressed, and you're working on the contract, of course, but it required a strong engineering culture, I would imagine, to be able to pull that off.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean the thing is, even though we are in the business of software, uh,
Hmm.
it's a business thing, but engineering culture is very critical, and you have to have something which is very um, focused on delivery. So one of the things that I'll tell you, like, a lot of companies have failed because they missed a delivery. So
Mm.
there have been public companies who have gone down the tubes because of this. This is kind of true. So we cannot miss certain deliveries, because your competitors are not sitting idle. They are going very fast, and so you got to you got to deliver quickly. And it's also like 80/20 rule. It's better to deliver something, even it may not be full featured, rather than delay and deliver something later, because that opportunity is gone. You got to capture a market share and then iterate and improve, as opposed to just wait till you want to go later with a better product that sometimes just does
Yeah.
not work.
Iteration over perfection, right? Like,
Yeah,
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 you can't
exactly.
just aim for 100% perfection of the first iteration there. So, Raghu, put it on your CEO hat again, and kind of like looking at the lay of the land. If there was maybe two top things that you could do differently or improve in the business, what would they be?
Two top things to improve. I think every company has got a lot of strengths and weaknesses. I've always tried to be very humble about our weaknesses. Our weaknesses are, we need to improve our sales and marketing, and the sales and marketing improvement comes with also improved messaging. One of the most difficult things in technology is messaging. You might have the best product, you might have everything, but how do you relay this to your customer? And it's especially hard because you are creating a new category of products, right? And people have to get attuned to, like, what are you saying. So I'll give you a very basic example. If I show you a picture of a dog, it's a dog. If I show you a picture of a elephant, a picture of elephant. So you can recognize what you already know. But if I show you a new animal which you have never seen, nobody has ever seen in the world, and then you ask what is it, then they'll say, I don't know what you're talking about. So you got to explain, this is such and such and so on. That is the
Mm,
type of problem you have when you bring a new category of technology into a market, because people, they may have heard a little bit of it, but they have no clue what it is, how to use it, how to improve their business, nothing. So just by saying AI agent is not going to do anything for you. You need to
yeah,
quantify it into tangible benefits, to say, okay, it's going to save you time, it's going to save you money, it's going to improve your competitive advantage over the next guy, and so on and so forth. Then they say, I see what you're saying. Okay, now I want to invest in this. So that messaging has to be very crisp and clear, and also differentiated from your competitors. So that's one thing that we took a long time, a lot of struggle to get to where we need to be. And I think we are at the point where we have a very clear message, and that makes sales and marketing easier.
easier.
And now I'd say that that's one of the challenges. Second challenge, I think a lot of startups go through this is fundraising. It's a tough one. Always it's a tough one. Never been easy. There are a lot of stories and so on. So we are no different from many of the startups out there.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. So what has worked well so far? So maybe for the benefit of our listeners, what have you found? So you talked about, having a good positioning story, and almost you have to, it's a new category of technology, you position that, like, what tactics, or you could go with strategy as well, but like what has worked well so far? If someone is experiencing something similar, what would you say has worked?
So one of the things which I think has started to work better is partnerships. So for example, in sales, we can have two many approaches, but a couple of approaches. Is one, you can get direct sales and try to reach out to customers on your own. That's one way. And that I think everyone needs to do regardless. Okay, so direct customers. But another way of getting sales is through your partners. So sales, a lot of times you can replace the word sales with the word trust. So people buy things from people they trust. So, for example, you might go to, that's why chain restaurants work, because they know, yeah, I know the taste, I know the food, it won't make me sick. So I'll go to the same restaurant in every city and town when I visit, because I don't know if the other local stuff will agree with my stomach or something like that. So you just go back
That's
to
an
the same.
interesting analogy. I never heard it put that way before. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, you go to the same things because you feel, okay, you know what, I know this stuff. I know the taste. It's agreeable to me, and I'll go there. So partnerships are like that almost, where you sort of like, instead of you engendering the trust with a set of customers, which might take months, years, and so on, you leverage partners who already have built the trust with customers. And so you basically partner with them and say, you know what, can you work with me to go into these accounts? Then you already have a footprint in. So that way, what happens is you can open doors that you could not open by yourself. Your partners have already opened it for you. There's some rev share agreement and so on, so that's mutually beneficial. But that's how you sort of like get into certain areas of business.
How do you decide who to partner with? I imagine you have a partnership program, right?
Yeah, we have a partnership program, but also sometimes, we go to different companies and we get introductions. We have a good set of advisors who introduce us to customers or partners to say, you know what, I know these guys, why not you talk, and we present. Sometimes the partnerships come off and sometimes they don't come off, in the sense that some partners are really invested in a partnership and some partners are like not so invested. So we tell the partners it has to be a win-win in any negotiation. If you don't have a win-win and you want to only win and the other partner does not gain from it, you'll not nothing will work. So it has to be a win-win. And the benefit of partnering with us, we always tend to stress on the thing that, you guys are not building this or thinking about this problem, but this problem is in AI and whatnot is something that we have solved. So instead of trying to reinvent the wheel, just work with us. And so you get the benefit of our R&D and our expenditure on our time and effort and all this, that now you and us together can open new doors that we did not, or new business that we did not imagine before. So that's the advantage of partnering. And some partners tend to like that message and they want to get into markets quickly. So this is a great way for them to expand their business. So we have some really good partners who leverage that. And then there are partners who, or people who we try to partner with where it just like a marriage, you have to put in some effort here. It does not just work automatically. There's some effort involved. So partnerships are good. When they work, they're really good.
Yeah, yeah. So you got the direct outreach, the partnership route. So what hasn't worked?
Hasn't worked. It's still in its infancy. We are in some marketplaces which are more passive. So a lot of the big companies like Amazon or Azure or GCP and Google Cloud and so on, they have their own partnership programs, and so we are starting to enlist ourselves. But there you are listed in a marketplace with hundreds of other offerings, and so there is a chance that you'll get selected and so on, but you also have a lot of competition. Um, so there it's more of a hit or a miss. But the thing about marketing and sales is there is a saying in marketing that someone has to see your brand 10 times before they buy. They have to see it over and over and over again. Then they say, hey, what is that brand? I'm kind of curious, because their curiosity doesn't strike on day one. And also, it's like, timing is everything in sales and marketing. The customer might have a need and you have a product. Those two need to intersect at the same time, then only you get a
Yeah,
sale. So
yeah,
you can keep marketing over here and they are not intersecting because they don't have a need. And one day they have a need, you need to be there. Then only you can create a connection. So
yeah.
so you have to repeat that message over and over again. So our marketing process is similar to many startups. We put out a lot of content, we share a lot of things, we educate the customer base, we hold these webinars or master classes to educate the customer, and then hopefully that resonates, and then they turn from prospect to customer.
Uh, Yeah, yeah. No, that's great. So do you have any quantifiable metrics that you use in measuring how successful these sales and marketing
Yeah, of course. So
processes?
a lot of it is, fortunately, a lot of the tools that we use all come with a good dashboards metrics that we download and track, whether it be traffic to the website, how many people downloaded something, or how many signups for some freemium program that we have and whatnot. So these things keep us and also follow us on social media and other things. So we tend to keep an eye on what is working, what is not working, which channels are working, which audience, because we cater to two audiences. One audience is the C suite, which is strategically thinking about their business, and then one is at the, like, let's say, on the IT departments and so on, where the developers want to try new tools. So this audience lives in different place, like, the Discord, the Substack, the Medium, the Telegram, and so on, is where the IT community sort of lives, or Reddit groups and so on. Whereas the C suite tends to hang out in LinkedIn and sometimes in traditional channels. Sometimes we go to meetup groups, sometimes we go to trade shows and so on. So we have to be in front of both these audiences at different places. Consumers, you know, for the B2C offering for twins and so on, that's a broader sort of swath. Instagram,
Yeah.
YouTube,
Mhm.
places like that. So we choose the channel for the ideal customer profile where they hang out, and try to get in front of them, so
Mhm.
that they get familiar with the brand.
Fantastic. Awesome. Cool. So if you think about, say, this next 6 to 12 months, where do you hope to get to? How would you describe um the business, say, in 6 to 12 months? Yeah.
So obviously, we want the adoption curve to kick in, and in startups, we call it the hockey stick. So it's like
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
point of inflection where some basic interest turns to be converts from just basic interest to huge usage. People want, you get woven into the everyday fabric of companies' work processes or a person's daily habits. So it becomes like interwoven with their business or their life. And so then it becomes, your adoption increases tremendously. So that's what every company tends to want to become. They want to get so woven into the fabric of the everyday life of a person that you become indispensable. So that's the goal that we want to accomplish. And in the both the B2B and B2C segments, we have certain elements that we are trying to promote to enable that to happen. So adoption metrics is what we are watching, and hopefully we want to achieve X the adoption by next year this time, and we are taking steps to make that happen.
And is that regardless of the audience? Because you do have the direct consumer audience, and you also have the business audience. That 50x is on both fronts.
On both fronts, and one thing I always also tell people,
Hmm.
so the funny thing about B2B is all the people who are B2B workers, when they go home, they become B2C. So,
They're the same, right? Just like a
like when you're working for your company, you're putting on your
right.
company hat, but when you go home, you're you. And so,
Yeah, yeah.
so if you, for example, if you look at Facebook is a good example. So Facebook, people use it on the B2C side, but then companies use it for advertising and all that on the B2B side. But Facebook is Facebook. So people know it from the B2C side. When they go to work, they tell their boss, hey, I saw something on Facebook. And then the boss thinks, hmm, maybe that's the place where I want my brand to appear so that more people can see my thing. So it becomes a
Yeah.
B2B place. So the funny thing is B2B is there, but B2C is the baseline. Everyone is a C. At the end of the day, the 7 billion or 8 billion people on the world they're all
These all
C.
C's. All consumers. Yeah.
Only
Yeah.
when you go to work you become B2B. So you have to attack both sides of it, because a lot of brands actually people know it from the consumer side, but they also, when they go to work, they talk about it, and then the business decides, let's get into this brand, let's use their product, or let's advertise with them, or whatever it might be. So that cannot
Cool.
be lost on us.
Yeah, that's a very important insight, right? Like, yeah, everyone's a consumer at the end of the day, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. That's thanks for sharing your thoughts there. So just to wrap it up a little bit, so what advice would you say you have for early stage founders? One camp, and another camp is for folks, whether at the end of the day everyone's a consumer, right? Whether they're business or consumers who are contemplating or who may not, they're thinking about agentic AI and like yeah. So that camp of folks, what advice would you have for either of those?
Sure. So for the early stage startups, just as an entrepreneur, I think I'll tell you, nothing is as hard as entrepreneurship. It's very hard. I mean, if you tasted success quickly and early, you're one of the lucky ones. But for the most part, it's a tough undertaking. And so there's a need for a lot of patience and tenacity, and you got to keep going and sticking to your guns. You have to. It's easy to give up. That's what I'm trying to say. So you have to stay the course as much as possible. So for startups, I think that's my main advice. It's not easy, but you have to stay the course. And if you can survive through all the difficult times, I think then success is there. So at the end of it. So that's on the startup side. On the consumer side, I think you'll see most consumer brands start to adopt agents. So someone was talking to me recently, and I said, today we are interacting with the television through basically our remote control. But
Mhm.
there'll be a day very, very soon. I think Roku has got a little bit of this where you can actually talk to the Roku box through your voice. But then I think all your TVs, all of your appliances, devices, and so on will have different sort of interfaces where you can actually talk to it. Most cars have got some speech interface today, is very rudimentary, but it'll start to get a bit more advanced. But then you'll start to have this speech interfaces with a lot of devices. So AI will become very commonplace, and also like physical robots, I think, are coming very soon. And I think you'll go to your Costco or your big department store and be able to pick up a physical robot the same way you bought a vacuum cleaner in the past, and bring home a physical robot that might do your washing your
Chores.
clothes, or doing your gardening, or do whatever, walking your dog, or whatever it might be. So all those types of things which we thought were far-fetched are very close. I mean, in fact, I went to an event in LA last week where what is that UFC, right? Like
Mhm.
Ultimate Fighting. So this one was UFB, Ultimate Fighting Bot. So I saw a bot walk up to me, and he could fight. He would
Wow.
fight with other bots, and there's a league called Ultimate Fighting Bot League. And I was like, what
Wow.
the heck? The world has gone to all kinds of things. So these are physical bots that can, do like fighting maneuvers. So and it's about 5 foot tall. It's got a head, and it's got arms and legs and whatever limbs and
Man,
whatnot.
I
So
hope there's some regulation around that soon.
so you're going to see physical bots come into the consumer space, and they're going to take up certain parts where you don't want to do certain things. They will start working on your behalf. There'll be a sort of army of sort of employees around the home, around the office, that will do certain tasks. So that's going to happen very, very quickly.
Yeah, yeah. So embrace it. Embrace the change, right? That's it. Yeah. Raghu, thanks again for joining us, and thank you for all the wonderful insights and gems. This is super insightful, and enjoy the rest of your day. We'll be in touch. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.